In 1991, I got my first phone call from Jones. Then another, and another. Every week since, without fail, I've had these phone calls with Jones. Not sure what to expect or what the topic will be, or even why I pick up. All I know for sure is every week I get another phone call from Jones.
Is your IMDB profile still online?
I don't think so. I haven't gone to it yet. I don't think so.
You got to.
I could check it out. But let me see. Now, for what reason? If I had like a second thing going on, I would do it. But
well, you're not going to get a second thing if you don't keep that first thing alive, my friend.
Well, I did all I could with the first thing. I gave my blood, sweat, and tears to that first thing.
Not enough blood, if you ask me.
Well, you might be right about that. Let's see. Brian Jones, Paranormal Cops.
Oh, don't act like it's not your homepage. Most people have Google as their homepage. You, IMDb.
I have Yahoo. I used to go on IMDb like 5-6 years ago. I used to be on that thing all the time. And then I haven't really gone to it at all in years.
I go there like frequently to settle bets with my wife. I was on there last night because Dominic has been calling his nuts. And we were trying to think of a better phrase, and my wife was like, what does he say in Kung Fu Panda? And then for like 5 minutes we went back and forth, and we try to hold out before we Google something. In fact, as a point of pride, I try to never do it, but then sometimes it just eats at me, so I eventually had to go to IMDb. He calls his sack his tenders, if you must know. So that little movie quote section on IMDb, that may be single-handedly responsible for keeping harmony in my marriage for the last 15 years.
Well, that's pretty impressive. See, I used to go to that a lot, too, when I was doing, little debates like yourself, entertainment debates. But once I got away from the writing and the Second City and that kind of thing, I guess I found myself going there less and less. Though, when I put in Brian Jones and Paranormal Cops, my stuff didn't come up. But when I just put in Paranormal Cops, and my name is one of... It's funny, my name is it's the third name in terms of stars. So if you go on there, it says Paranormal Cops, and then it says stars Ron Fabiani, Tom Froelich, and Brian Jones.
And, right. Was it in alphabetical order?
Tom Froelich, Brian Jones, Mariah Rain, Peach Light. I think you're right.
Man, I think that was in second. But I'm telling you, my brain is sharp. My omega-3s have been kicking in today.
I'll tell you what, my brain has not been sharp, but before we digress into that, if you click my name, then it does take you, and it shows my writing credits, my producing credits, and my actor credit.
Well, I don't think you're playing that up enough. I think you got to start just saying it, all the time.
No, believe me, I tried to keep that thing alive, and it was just exhausting. I'm actually kind of happy that it's gone away. I mean, really, even at work, there was some woman came into work, and one of the guys, she did Second City and all that sort of thing. He was like, oh, man, you should have told her that you were doing, years ago you did radio. What am I talking about? You should have told her you were doing TV. And I was like, oh, dude, I don't even tell people that anymore. It doesn't occur to me at all.
That's ridiculous. Listen. You need to embrace it, man. You need to embrace it.
I embraced it for years. For years I embraced it. And I was I did this thing. But after a while, it's like, it's not cool to tell people. You want to know what's not cool? Telling people that you had a television show. Because if it was cool, they would already know what show you were on. It's not cool. It's cool to be George Clooney. It's not cool to tell people that you're George Clooney, or you have to convince them that you're George Clooney.
I'm not saying to bring it up in a braggadocious way. Is that a word? Look it up. But you could say it. You could drop it in slyly, almost like as a bridge, it's funny that you mentioned that on the set of the A&E series that I was the producer of called Paranormal, and now I'm working on, some new stuff coming up soon. It's super confidential. I can't tell you about it. Anyway, that was mentioned once by one of the line producers, and you could, kind of draw them in and mention it without bragging about it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of did that stuff for several years, but then once it gets to the point, like now, this was the first year that the show wasn't on TV, and now we're 4 years removed from its debut. Its debut. See, it's actually this month, January and February 2010 was when it originally aired on E&E. Oh my God, time is flying. 4 years of, Yeah. I tried to parlay it and make it seem as relevant as possible in things I was doing immediately after that, but no. I mean, it's not like I hide it. It's not like I hide it. Like, I have it on LinkedIn. I have it on a resume. Okay. I talk to people about it, but I'm relieved, because here's the other reason that I don't bring it up in a sly fashion, because then for years after the show, people kept asking me about it, because that was the only thing that people who didn't really know me well but would just see me once a year at like a Christmas party or something like that, 4th of July party, they would go, oh, I see this guy once a year. Hey, what happened with that show? Blah, blah, blah. I meant to tell you, I was talking to my wife last week, and my uncle has a farm, and he thinks the barn is haunted. It's out in McHenry County, and then I was getting roped into all these ghost conversations. And other than my immediate experience in terms of building the group and then having the show, not really into it. Well, okay, so then you position yourself as, hey, man, you know what? I was on camera, and yes, arguably America's most beloved television catchphrase of the last decade is "we're going to black." Yes, all this is true, but I don't want to talk about chord progressions just because they played in the Beatles on a couple of tracks. I'm Phil Spector. I'm the brain behind the operation. I'm the producer. I'm the artiste. Those guys were like cannon fodder on camera. You could kind of play it up like that. Dude, I like to dwell on my producer's credit, my writing credit, more than my acting credit. Actors just read lines. I was so much more. Right. I was at a funeral last week where people brought up to me the fading to black comment, or we're going to black comment, which is kind of weird. Yeah, did they say it in reference to the deceased? No, they did not. I was at Mariah's wake, and her kids who remembered me being on the show, and they were all excited because Mom knew someone on TV, and I sent them an autographed photo. And now it's kind of weird because they're going on 18 now, so they're able to kind of figure out what's cool and what's not. And I think they're really sweet kids, but I can tell they figured out, not cool. So when I ran into them, though, at this wake, they were like, you remember Brian? He sent you that picture. You still have it. You were so excited. And they were really polite about it. But as I said, you could tell they were like, not cool. They're like, oh, yeah, I remember that was my favorite line. We're going to black. Like, that was the thing, like, they remembered. I was like, oh, my God, like, if this show took off, maybe that would have been, like, the bane of my existence. Wherever I went, people would shit at me. Well, great, though. That's all. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You need to have T-shirts. You need to wear a T-shirt with frequency that says, we're going to black. Yeah. That could get you into trouble, though. I just feel, and why, I don't know. But I just feel like we're going to black could be interpreted in any number of ways. So, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it could be a Spinal Tap, homage for all someone would know, Right. No, I mean, is there anything really spicy about that comment, like, we're going to black? No. For all you know, people say it all the time. Maybe, like, there are whole pockets of the city, Andersonville. Maybe there are whole pockets of cities across America. Maybe in Topeka, for all you know. Kids are going around being like, dude, we're going to black. I'm going to bet against that. But Google it. See if it comes up, at least back to your IMDB profile.
Yeah, okay, I will look it up, actually. No, it's funny because I was walking by the Picasso as I was going home from work, and there were these dumbest times of protest. It's nuts out. I didn't even know what they were protesting.
Nicole.
No, they were protesting. They had signs with, like, the gun sight on them, you know, like the circle with the little X on it, like that you use. Obviously, I'm not a gun guy, but that was the little scope, I guess, the little sight thing.
Sure.
And it said on there, like, stop now.
Scopes.
No, all it said was stop now, and then it just had the little gun sight on it. And I'm reading it. I'm looking at it, like, thinking that underneath it will say what it is, but they weren't saying anything. They were talking about something about injustice and then something in Inglewood. But I'm bringing all that up to say, like, if it was June and I was walking home from work by a bunch of protesters out in front of the Picasso with scopes on their signs, it said, you know, stop now, and then they're talking about, you know, stopping the tyranny in Inglewood, and I walk by with a "we're going to black" shirt. Not that that should trigger anything, but it could.
Trigger.
I would not want to be on the.
Yeah.
I would not want to be on the receiving end of that.
I think you're just a little skittish. You think everything is always going to be taken in a racial way.
Well, no, I tell you what.
In Chicago, but you know, I think you're just being a little anxious about it.
Hold on, dude. Oh my God.
You're upset.
No, there was like a huge gust of wind, and it, like, I can't even see what it knocked over, but it sounded like the garage door below me got blown in. What the hell is that?
Are you going to go and investigate? Go and investigate.
I don't know that I want to.
Before you go down there, say, anyone down there? Because we're about to go to black.
Right. I'll just bring my little baseball bat with me. No, but I'll tell you why I have that feeling, though, because remember the shirt that I bought from that, those kids at Colorado Boulder? They had a flag football team, and they were kind of jokingly protesting the name Redskins and all that. So they came up with a team name called the Fighting Whiteys.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Okay, there's nothing down here, so nothing got blown over. But anyway, you remember that, right? Fighting Whiteys?
Yeah, I had one. I think I bought one of their shirts that said everything's going to be all white. Right,
yes. So I had one, too, and it's got like the 1950s kind of looking dad on there.
Yeah.
And on the back it said, yeah, everything's going to be all white. And I remember when I was living up by Wrigley one day, I was walking down the street. I had the shirt on me, and these two white kids came up behind me, and they were like, awesome shirt, man, awesome shirt. You know, that's no joke, man. Keep it white. Keep it white. You definitely got to keep it white. But they were serious, and they were looking at me like they were acting like I was a white supremacist like them and all about it. But at the same time, they looked menacing, like, we agree with what you're saying, and we're going to beat the shit out of you. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to be fighting two guys. This is like the Bruce Willis moment I don't want. And they walk by me, and they're saying all this stuff. I was like, oh, it's just a shirt, man. That's all. It's just a shirt. Like, that's all I could say. And then they just were like, no, man, you got to keep it white. Keep it white. So I've had that experience where I thought, I think these two guys are going to jump me. So now to walk across, and I got that being a white person wearing a shirt saying keep it white. So fade to black or go to black or be in black or say hi to blacks or anything on my body would make me even, I mean, if I got that reaction wearing a keep it all white shirt and I'm a white guy and white guys react, I don't want to wear a shirt that says anything black other than Black Hawks.
I don't know. You might want to just play it safe and not even, send more black on your body.
What?
It's funny. I just finally brought my Iran soccer jersey out of the mothballs. It was away for about 3 years, I'd say. 3-4 years.
Yeah, you go longer than that. You had long buried that.
7, 8 years, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
After they were, they unwittingly joined the Axis of Evil. Maybe I put it away. Like, I'm going to stand with my Republican president. no more X's of evil for me.
Yeah.
But boy, I put it back on, man, and it felt great. It felt like it was 1999 all over again.
Oh man! So what was the reaction? Did you get any?
I don't know that I wore it publicly. I think I might have wore it around the house. I do believe my 5-year-old enjoyed it, though. But what does he know?
So pass the test to the family. The next step is bringing it out.
Yeah,
the next step is going to an environment like a Cubs game.
I want to say that one of the last times I remember wearing it was for Halloween. I didn't have a Halloween costume, so I wore it and then, put tried to make some sort of a headdress to go with.
I remember. That was the first night we met Andy's wife.
Yeah?
Because I remember you apologized for that. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because, I'm all dolled up like this. It's kind of odd meeting you like this. Because then he brought her out for the first night, and she got laryngitis, and she couldn't speak. And then I jokingly went to introduce myself to her, and I started doing sign language, not knowing that her oldest sister was deaf. And I'm doing like, hey, how are you? Because she couldn't speak. So here's Andy, meets this woman that he's going to spend the rest of his life with. Like, I want you to meet my friends. And you walk in, an Irishman in an Iranian jersey and a turban, and I'm walking up to her going, hey, how are you? I heard you can't speak. And her older sister's deaf, and she was studying speech pathology at Indiana State. But could we have been two bigger assholes? Oh, man. And then we probably, right away, overreacted because, at least I probably overreacted because she couldn't speak. And I'm like, man, she really hates me. She's not even speaking to me. Oh, God, I love that rain.
So funny. That was the year that Andy went as like a 60% chance of rain or something like that.
Yes. That's right.
Or 80% humidity or something.
That's right.
Could even spit you in the face with water.
Well, and then Jill went in your Elvis costume, if I remember correctly.
She was. She was still skinny Elvis then. She probably won't be reprising that costume for a bit.
I'll stay out of that.
Please do. I might be going black after that comment. Well, good. Well, then, I'm glad that it's over with them. So, I saw a story today that researchers say that they have found a death test. That there is a blood test that can identify if you'll die within the next 5 years.
See, I saw that headline. I didn't click on it because I got hooked up in the Sarah Kustok, Zach Kustok family story today.
Was there a verdict?
No, they just started. The sister was in town testifying on behalf of the father. The son is not supporting the father, whatever. So I was just reading the back and forth of that, but I did see the headline about the death test. So how accurate do they feel the death? What is the procedure of this death test?
Well, yeah, again, everything is in 500-word stories, so I haven't analyzed the data, Brian. But apparently, in this study, they were able to repeat the results. So there apparently are 4 biological markers in the blood that would indicate, liver function, for example, is one of them. And when taken in total, they come up with a frailty index, whereby they can predict with some sort of accuracy who will die within 5 years from a pool of otherwise seemingly healthy individuals. And so my question, publicly on Facebook, because that's how I ask questions publicly, was, would you take the test? I want to know from you, would you take the death test? If it were behind the counter next to the drug test and the pregnancy test at your neighborhood Walgreens for $19.99, would you take the self-administered home death test?
Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't. I mean, if anything, it doesn't even seem like it's, all it really is letting you know. If anything, it maybe would trigger trigger or point out, certain indicators that you need to be aware of. I don't think just because you went and got the death test and it came up, hey, thumbs up, you're going to die, that may be just a sign of like, dude, you got this liver situation, you got to turn it around. Like I've had this weird little like pain, like little knifing pain that every once in a while has been kicking up in my stomach. And I think to myself like, oh my God, should I get checked out? Mom had stomach pain. She got stomach cancer.
Oh my God. It's got to be psychosomatic, that pain.
Well, no, I mean, it's been 8 years since she passed away, so it's not like I'm constantly having these pains. It was just recently where it was like undeniably like there would be like a shooting pain, like, oh, man, it was just a knifing pain. Like, am I getting an ulcer or what is this?
Yeah, you would assume that it would only make sense to oh, okay, oh my God, the death test came back that I'm on the bad side of the ledger. Boy, I got to make immediate and drastic changes. Which the people that say they wouldn't want to test, those got to be the people that know themselves well enough to know that they're not capable of making overhauls from a lifestyle perspective, so they just don't even want to know.
Is it that, or it's people who just take medicine at face value and go, oh, I'm going to die in 5 years. It is in stone. There was I used to, you remember the Dave Grotto guy, he was the American dietitian guy I used to do a radio show for on the weekends. He used to produce this radio show. He told me that there was this study, and it was interesting. He told me that there was this study that of people in terms that there was a study of people who, when they're dealing with their own health or health crisis, there were 4 categories. The first category was when people get bad news, the first category is, okay, I've gotten bad news, but I'm going to listen to what the doctor has to say. I'm going to do everything that he says or she says, and I'm going to give it my all. The second group is the group that says, okay, I got bad news. I've got bad news. I've been diagnosed with cancer. This is it. I'm going to die. The third group is, Doc, you have the wrong guy. This isn't me at all. I don't have what you're telling me.
Total denial.
Yes, complete denial. And the fourth group is, okay, well, that's fine. That's just another adversity. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to work at this, and I'm going to decide how I want to approach this, and I'll get myself back on my feet. Of those 4 groups.
Wait a second. What's the difference between the first group and the fourth group? You kind of described them similarly.
No, because the first group was, okay, whatever you say, Doc.
Oh, okay. The fourth group takes ownership of it personally.
The fourth one goes, okay, yes. Yeah. The fourth group listens to what the doctor says, accepts it, and goes, okay, I'm going to go home tonight and just keep a cool head about this and see what my options are and think about how I want to approach this and tackle it. So out of those 4 groups, the first to die more often than not is the group that goes, oh, my God, I've got this death sentence, which is understandable. They just give up. The second fastest group in the whole process to die is the ones who say, okay, Doc, I understand that I have cancer. Whatever you tell me, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because they're surrendering their own power.
Yeah.
And it's actually the group that lasts the longest is the one that takes ownership and goes, no, denial was the second longest lasting group. The one that lasts the longest is the group that goes, all right, I'm going to go home tonight, see how I want to approach this, see if I want to do it holistically, see if I want to go with the chemotherapy, and I'll call you next Tuesday. Those people who kind of take ownership of it, don't panic about it, and, take it by the reins. The second longest living group is the ones that just go, wrong guy, and they just deny
wrong
it.
guy. Yeah, you must have mixed up the blood test there, Doc. That happens all the time. I'll talk to you. See you next Tuesday.
Right. That's the group that lasts the second longest. So, what was my whole point in all this?
So, yeah, the death test making changes. The people that take the death test would be the fourth group, the people most likely to keep a level head and just, oh, okay, this is good that I took this test. I know that I have issues to work on. Awesome.
Right.
Knowledge is power.
Yes, exactly. So I think to go back to that, I did lose my train of thought. I was telling that story, so thank you. But I would say that, yes, the people who go, I don't want to take the death test, that they would fall into it is that, like, I don't have the power to change, or I don't want to take that death test because whatever it says must be true because it came out of a box that says Eli Lilly on it or Procter & Gamble or whoever makes this test. So that's why I think a lot of people would not take that test. I would take that test.
I can't wait to take the test. In fact, I can't wait to take the test while staring you in the eye while you're taking the test.
When we take it together.
Like it's a shot drinking contest. We're on either side of the table.
How is this test taken?
I wish it was peeing on a stick, but I think it's a blood test.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I wish it were peeing on a stick like a pregnancy test, and it's like one line for... Wait, does one line mean I'm dying, or does two lines mean I'm dying? What does one line mean?
Right, yeah, no kidding. Google it! I've only got 5 years!
Some things in life you want to know early. That's why you need EDT, Early Death Test.
Yes.
Pee on the stick, and 2 minutes later, you're confused as to what's going to happen next. So go buy another one. In fact, buy 10. No one pees on just one EPT stick. I remember with Joel in our teen years, we would take 4 or 5 just to be sure. Pee on another one. I don't want to wear I want to keep wearing my abortion tickle shirt. It ain't funny if you've actually had one. All right, so I'll put you down for early death test taker.
Yeah, do that. You can put me down for an early death test.
You definitely are a proactive guy. You're going to love it. I fully expect my liver marker to be off the charts in a bad way. So it'll be good to know so I can make changes.
Right. Well, now what kind of changes are you willing to make?
Well, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, but obviously I'm going to have to curtail the booze.
Curtail the sauce. How is the smoking going?
Oh, I'm almost done with my little run of 2 weeks here. Every year it seems like I got to have a 2-week just, screw it, and have
really?
Couple of packs, sure.
So you think you're done with it? Are you on your final pack?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was looking at the Ironman website today, Jones. Do you know that the USTA will not allow you to run with an iPod or bike with an iPod?
No, I know. I couldn't do it when I did the triathlon this year. That's what sucks.
That's BS, man. I don't want to run a half marathon like just listening to my own breath.
No, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to do a triathlon again, because the day I trained on bike and on running with then I found out right before the event you have no headphones. And then it was like all of a sudden the biking was okay. The biking's a fairly easy part. But the running, you're just listening to the soundtrack of your own misery. Because I hadn't been doing it all summer, and then all of a sudden it was just plop, 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 plop. That's all.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like you're having a good time. But at least, did they have bands on the course like they do for like the Chicago Marathon?
No. It's the soundtrack of your own misery. That's why I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, really, it just killed me, because on the running you can at least distract yourself with your favorite album or something. But
that got me really revisiting some stuff. Not to mention the fact that I would be hard pressed to get from 2-week smoker to half-ironman in 5 months. That would be a tough road to hoe for somebody who doesn't really swim. The running part, no problem. But I don't even own a bike, and the swimming part, it sounds like it kicks everybody in the ass. So even though it would be pretty possible for me to get ready anyway, now that I know there's no iPods, it's like, that doesn't even sound like fun, man. At least if the course had lots of bands and stuff to do, like the marathon or C or whatever, it sounds like the marathon is quite a party.
Yes, and I've talked to people who have done it, and across the board when they talk of the experience, they say it was the dumbest thing that they've ever done. They hated it. But in terms of the atmosphere, they did speak highly of it, and that it was motivating and it would pick you up. Like right when you felt like, oh my God, I'm going to quit, then all of a sudden you're, running through like Boys Town or, down by Bucktown or whatever, and all of a sudden there's all this parties going on and people are cheering you, and there's none of that on the triathlon course. None of it.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You need to do something about that. I know I don't know if it's a safety thing. Probably on the bike part, it's a safety.
Yes, because
there's no reason. There's no reason.
I agree with you. The run part, they should allow it. But the bike part, I get, because you're biking on Lakeshore Drive, and they don't completely shut it down. They just shut down 2 of the lanes.
So if you're on a closed course, people are passing, you guys are going 35 miles an hour, super dangerous. But, like the Boston Marathon, I've always heard, it seems like it's a stuffy, elitist, like, asshole rule rather than a functionality rule. But
that's a marathon thing, though, like with real marathon runners. Because one of the guys I work with, he's like, no, I don't. When I do a marathon, I don't wear the headphones, man. No, like he looks at it from a purist aspect. Like, no, when you go running, you're supposed to be about the running. You're not supposed to be listening to music. And if you want to take anything, take in the sights and the sounds and the crowd noise and tap into what you're doing. And I'm not an endurance athlete. I know that. I'm not an endurance athlete.
No, if you're a professional, that's one thing. But if you're like, if the Boston Marathon organizers, which, with all due respect, they've got other fish to fry, it appears, rather than policing iPods. Maybe you should police those dudes from the Caucasus countries walking around with steamers, rice steamers. But why don't you piss test everybody then? Because that to me has more of an that affects the outcome more than your iPod. Why would an iPod anything?
I don't know.
If I'm paying for the Ironman, it's $275 or something ridiculous. It's a lot of dough. And so I'm all about, okay, I'll probably be closer to the 8-hour mark than the 5-hour mark. But for 5 to 8 hours, I am absolutely, in the name of fun, willing to go out and do this stuff. But part of the fun for me is honestly not having a kid come up to me for 5 to 8 hours and ask me a question. And part of the fun is listening to music. I guess, the water part could be a little hard for my iPod. But the rest of it, honestly, that would be cool. To listen to music for 6 hours unabated, I could get into that.
Right.
But not anymore, man. Oh, you know what? Oh, to maintain the high standards of the United States Triathlon Association, we don't allow iPods. It just seems dumb.
Okay, now wait, who does not allow headphones? What organization?
I thought it was a USTA rule, the United States Triathlon Association. I'm assuming it stands.
Okay, because now I looked up and it said, I just quickly Googled, allowing headphones in triathlons, and the USATF, which is the USA Track and Field Association, said they will now allow the use of headphones at non-championship races.
Okay, then do me a favor. Google Ironman iPod use and see what happens. Because maybe I'm back on, baby. All I got to do is learn how to swim and buy a bike.
Yeah, you're right there.
And quit smoking.
All right, let's see here. Triathlon headphones, let's see, I'll just do Ironman. I was going to do half-Ironman, but that's what you want to do, right? Half-Ironman?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's still the same banner or whatever. It's actually the one in Racine. It's a 70.3 if you're keeping score.
I know the lingo.
It's some of this sissy, sprint distance stuff.
Yeah, I didn't do it. Yeah, I know. I didn't do a sprint. Can you use an iPod during an Ironman event?
You did 70.3, Jones.
No, the sprint is, I did the international, the Olympic distance.
Okay. It's none of this sissy international stuff. It's 70.3.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't see anything that says that they allow it. I'm assuming that they don't allow it. USTA triathlon rules allow. No, yeah. So yeah, you're right. So far, well, these are all old posts too. I don't know. I don't know what they. I would still assume that it's headphones.
Dude, yeah, and at least have, like, you know, Kenosha's finest rock station out there at WLLI or ILL 95.1 Wheel Rock.
Yeah.
I want to hear them blasting.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's kind of, you know, that's kind of the bummer, man, because I was like, it just totally threw off, you know, on race day I wasn't expecting to win the damn thing. But, it was just misery just having to plod along.
They should just, okay, because I guess there's 40 in the race scene one. There's qualifying slots for the North American in Quebec or in Hawaii or whatever. So I get it. There's going to be a pro class that wants to compete for that. Fine. But for the chubby slobs like me that just want to go out and do it for shits and giggles, let me run an iPod through my ears.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, that would help you get through it. Now, why do you want to do a half marathon? Jill told me about this before you told me about it. So I'm wondering what is the inspiration for the half marathon? Is it your 40th birthday?
Oh, no. I just happen to think that marathons aren't very good for you, so I probably won't ever run another marathon again. But not that the rigors of a triathlon of that distance are any better for you, but at least it would be a little different, and then I could be like, all right, cool, did a marathon, did a half Ironman triathlon, cool. Got to log, 7.5 hours of iPod listening, pretty fun, whatever. Afterward, we went up to, I was going to make a weekend out of it. Not that my old lady would come, because it's funny, I was watching a bunch of videos on YouTube about training for it and all this stuff, and they're all like, oh, it's so great to have moral support from your family. And I remember crossing the finish line, and there's, everybody had pretty much finished the marathon. I was like, there was a couple of, like, speed walkers after me, and a couple of, paraplegics were coming across, and that was about it. People in their 80s, like, I was at the very end of the run. But, hey, they hadn't closed the course, so all's fair. But there was nobody there for me, so I kind of figured, all right, she won't come down, the kids won't come down, but at least they could be up at Lake Geneva. I'll run down to Racine, do the thing, and then drive back up, and then we can make a long weekend out of it, something like that.
All right, but there's like life moment statement out of the half marathon. It's just simply to say you did it and have a long weekend.
You mean the Ironman?
Well, the half Ironman.
Well, right. I mean, obviously, there's no allure to doing a half marathon after doing a marathon, but
half Ironman. I'm sorry, I keep saying marathon. I meant half Ironman.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't really swim, so that would be a challenge. I don't even own a bike, and I haven't owned one.
That will be a challenge.
Those are two challenges right there that make it kind of worthwhile, and it would give me some carrot on a stick to motivate me for the next 6 months daily.
Right.
And from a dietary perspective, that would be pretty important to have some goal like that out there. It's one thing to be like, I'm going to eat right in 2014. But if I know that I have to go and do this thing in August or July, that'd be a good reason to, not drink beer and to not eat pizzas and stuff.
Stock up on the fruits and vegetables. No, I think you should do it. I think it would be great. I would look at something like that, and it really is about the headphones, as stupid as that sounds. It is about the headphones.
Good Lord. Give me an iPod, for Christ's sake, or at least don't kick me out. Fine, it's unofficial, or I don't get a qualifying spot or whatever, but don't be hard-asses. I'm imagining, like, the Gestapo, they're going to, like, be waiting for me
right
after the bike and be like, you violated USTF Rule 100.1 subsection S. You can't run. You're out. You got to go to the Kenosha Broad stop. and wait there for a shuttle bus.
Yeah, you got to go
to Geneva.
Yeah, you got to go to Juicy Lucy's and shuttle it back home. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can call and ask them and say, hey, what is the penalty? And if the penalty is like, oh, well, your time won't count in USTA, well, who cares? I mean, nobody really, what type of idiot goes out and verifies their friends' times on, like, marathons and 5Ks and triathlons?
No, I guarantee some people looked up mine just to see. But you know, oh, we won't give you a medal. And even that, I'd be like, all right, fine, keep your medal. Even though I kind of like giving them to my kids. Fine, I don't get a medal, so I could probably buy one on eBay. Okay, what else? What are the other penalties? Will you forcibly take me off the course? I want to know.
Right.
If I'm not on the website, if I don't get a certificate, if I don't get a medal, I don't get the sash or whatever, the pageant sash that I completed the half-ironman. I don't get like I don't get to put it on my LinkedIn page, whatever. I can live with those things. I can even live with the fact that I'm probably doing my heart no favors, and I'll probably die 3 to 5 years earlier by doing this thing. I can even live with that. I just don't want to hear myself soiling myself.
Oh, God. Believe me, and that was my soundtrack. That was my soundtrack as I was getting to the end of the line, and I thought I was going to throw up, and then I thought I was going to throw up, and then that subsided, and then a minute later, I'm like a quarter of a mile. I was like 200 yards from like the finish line, and I was like, I'm going to shit my pants. I really am going to shit my pants. And I just had to listen to my body just failing me like that the whole time. It was terrible.
Was that a part? I think that was a part.
Oh,
I'm praying it was a part.
Well,
I will report back next week with the official word from the USTA.
Wait, what did you just say?
I will let the USTF or the USTA or whatever the governing body is. I'll let you know.
No, it kind of broke up there, so I didn't kind of know what you were like, the USTA, and I was like, I thought you got stabbed in the middle of saying it. It just sounded odd.
I'm feeling pains of angst. Will I be able to hear Led Zeppelin 4 in its entirety while I'm running this half marathon as part of the half-ironman?
Dude, I'm telling you, if you can't, don't do it. That's my advice to you.
You don't have to talk me into nothing, man. I'd rather do my own then.
Right.
I will do my own half Ironman.
Yeah, I don't know why you couldn't. I mean, really, and then if you could get someone, maybe that's all we do. You and I both set a date. We do our own.
Well, I'll say this. As part of the only thing that I enjoyed about the marathon was all the hydration stations.
Right.
That's something that you just can't carry that with you. You can't, having your bike all made up and ready to go. Like you do kind of need some support. Otherwise, but I could plan it so my course so that I always end up back at my house or whatever, and so I could figure it out. But I do see that part of and there is medical attention somewhat nearby. Although I'm running with an iPod, and that's one of the reasons why I choose a phone to run with rather than my iPod, just in case I have. Is that angina or is that the grabber? Is this the big one, Elizabeth? So I will not run with just like an iPod Shuffle, even though it's lighter. I will bring the phone just so that 911 is a heartbeat away. Right. But that part of the support I dig. I don't really give a shit about having my name in the paper or the funky shirt or any of that. If they're not going to have bands out there and they're not going to have that support, is the only other part and having people like watch my bike would be the only other part of it, and the medical support. But man, I could figure that stuff out if I just want to go and do 70.3 on a Saturday.
Yeah, just have Andy follow you around,
mocking me in a golf cart.
Yeah, but you at least have his medical supplies with him.
I'm liking what you're saying here, man.
He's a paramedic, no different than what you'd get on the course.
Noonan, he'll have a bullhorn. I'm not doing mouth-to-mouth, Noonan.
Right, yeah.
Well, I'll let you know, and if they say, yeah, your time won't be official, you won't get the beauty pageant sash, with the Ironman, official Ironman logo on it, but we won't physically detain you either. Then I will throw it on the gauntlet and say, me and you, death test, month of March, followed by 5 months of training at Ironman in Racine in late July. Are you down with that? Can you dig it?
I can if an iPod is involved.
All right. Okay. Now you're talking my language.
Now, how's that? You got me to commit to a death test and a half marathon, provided an iPod's involved. That's a full conversation, man.
We will have even more to talk about weekly if this comes to pass. I will get back to you ASAP with the USTA ruling.
It's all right, man.
Enjoy your week, man.
I will.
Talk at you.
All right, man. I'll see you, Mike.
Yep.
Bye.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.